My name is Aaron Allen, the Division Manager of the Local Tax Allocation Division. Welcome to the 2021 Local Government Workshop. We will go ahead and get started now. On this slide, you can see a list of all of the various sales taxes that we distribute. I do want to clarify one thing. The use tax listed there, that is for titled and registered items, not the use tax that's distributed based on population, which we will discuss later. Service occupation tax, we get a lot of questions why you're not seeing tax revenue from hair salons, auto repair shops, things like that. That's because those are service businesses and not retail businesses. And we've got the definition of the description of the de minimis test there on that slide that explains to you whether someone should be paying sales tax or not, charging sales tax or not. And one thing to know with that is if you get your tires replaced or you get an alternator replaced, you won't owe sales tax. But if that same company sells bottles of soda or water or pine tree air fresheners or anything like that in the shop, you would pay sales tax on that. So you should potentially still see some sales tax revenue from some of these places. A hair salon may sell shampoo or conditioner, things like that. They would need to charge sales tax on those items. The basic breakdown of sales tax, the state sales tax rate is 6.25%. And 5% of that, which is equivalent to 80%, that goes to the state. 1% goes to the local government where the sale took place, either the municipality or if it's in the unincorporated part of the county, the county. This is what you'll see listed as either MT, which is municipal tax, or CT, county tax, on your allocation remittance reports and your vouchers. 0.25% goes to the county where the sale took place. This is CST. If the sale takes place in the unincorporated part of the county will get both the 1% local and the 0.25% county for a total of 1.25%. When we're talking about qualifying food, drug, and medical appliances, that state tax rate is 1%, and that all goes to the local government where that sale takes place. Just an example of how this works out. If the selling price is $1,000, the 6.25% tax rate is $62.50. The business gets a 1.75% discount for timely filing and paying their sales tax return. In this case, that breaks down to $1.09, which comes out of the tax due. And then you can see over on the right the breakdown of how much each unit of government gets from that sale. Sales taxes are on a 4-month cycle. For example, if you purchase an item January 16th, January is what we consider the liability month. February is the collection month, or we also refer to that as the allocation month. March is the processing month. That's when our account processing division processes those tax returns that come in. And then finally, April is the disbursement month when you'll actually see that money hit your account. ST1 sales tax returns are due the 20th of the collection month or the next business day if the 20th falls on a weekend or a holiday. You can see here the last 10 years of fiscal year distributions. This is in the millions, and as you can see on there, the state fiscal year runs from July 1st through June 30th. So you can see the breakdown of municipal, county, and countywide sales taxes there. And you can see that we were seeing a steady increase in MT and CT here until the last 2 years, the last year, I guess I should say, for municipal, and then for CT, it dropped in FY20 and then now is back up in FY21. Special events. It's important for you all to know that when you have special events in your jurisdiction, whether it be a county fair, farmer's market, a tent sale, anything like that, craft fair, they should be charging your sales tax rate on those items, and you should be getting revenue from those sales. So we've got instructions here on what those retailers need to do. you can, if you know of a special event and you want to check to make sure they're charging the sales tax rate, you can ask them. And on this next slide, this is who they need to contact with the department. And if you know of a special event going on in your jurisdiction, that's who you need to contact to make sure that that is all set up correctly, so they will collect sales taxes for your jurisdiction. Now, the 6.25% rate we discussed was the statewide rate. Local governments can impose their own taxes on top of that state sales tax rate. The first thing we're going to talk about here is the Regional Transportation Authority. This is just imposed in Cook County and the collar counties, DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, and Will. The admin fee on this is 2% that the state collects. And then the applicable Cook County tax rates you can see listed there, 1% for general merchandise and titled or registered items, and 1.25% for qualifying food and drug. For Collar County tax rates, it's 0.75% for all of those. And once again, these are all on top of the already imposed 6.25% state tax rate. Metro East Transit District. This is certain townships in Madison and St. Clair counties. The reason when those counties respond to our TLV letters, which we'll talk about later, it asks for township. This is why it asks for township, is because of the Metro East Transit District tax. Once again, the admin fee is 2%. In Madison County, those are all 0.25%, and St. Clair County, general merchandise and qualifying food and drug are 0.75%, while titled or registered items are 0.25%, plus an additional district fee of either 0.5% or $20, whichever is less. Locally imposed taxes are taxes imposed at the county or municipal level that are imposed on items that are titled or registered with an Illinois agency, and qualifying food and drug, there we go, are not imposed on, I had a screen in my way here. Taxes imposed at county or municipal level not imposed on items that are titled or registered with a state agency or qualifying food, drug, and medical appliances. These rates are imposed in increments of 0.25%. IDOR will notify all impacted retailers with an informational bulletin via MyTax message, assuming they have a MyTax account. We'll also mail those out if they don't have a MyTax account. We will also send the informational bulletin to any MyLocalTax users, which are local governments. We'll talk about MyLocalTax a little bit later. That way, if you get contacted by a retailer asking about the tax rate, you've also got a copy of what we sent them. All right, so we'll now kind of get into the locally imposed taxes that can be imposed by everyone, or county or municipality, depending on the type. County school facility occupation tax. This is used for school facility purposes. You can see the statutory reference there, so you can get the definition of exactly what that must be used for. This requires voter passage of a countywide referendum. The maximum rate for CSFT is 1%, and that comes in 0.25% increments. Whenever we say that, it's just, you can do, with this one, maximum rate is 1%. That means you have 4 options. You can either impose this tax at 0.25%, 0.5%, 0.75%, or the full 1%. Certified election results, both the ballot question and the abstract of votes, must be sent to our office by May 1st to become effective July 1st of the same year, or October 1st to become effective January 1st of the next year. And there's an admin fee of 2% on county school facility taxes. Special county retailers occupation tax for public safety, public facilities, mental health, substance abuse, or transportation. CTPS. This revenue is generated to be used exclusively for public safety, public facilities, mental health, substance abuse, or transportation purposes in that county. Once again, we've got the statutory reference there if you need more information. This tax is imposed after voter passage of a countywide referendum. There is no maximum rate for CTPS. However, once again, you must impose this in 0.25% increments. A certified ordinance imposing the tax and certified election results must be sent to our office once again by May 1st to become effective July 1st of the same year, or October 1st to become effective January 1st of the following year. For CTPS, the admin fee is 1.5%. Home Rule Sales Tax, or HMR. A home rule unit is a county that has a chief executive officer elected by the electors of the county, or a municipality that has a population of 25,001 or more. Voter approval is not required to impose a home rule sales tax. Once again, there is no maximum rate, but the tax must be imposed in 0.25% increments. For this one, the certified ordinance must be sent to our office by April 1st to become effective July 1st of the same year, or October 1st to become effective January 1st of the following year. The admin fee for home rule sales tax is 2%. Non-home rule sales tax. Non-home rule units have a population of 25,000 and under. This tax is imposed by ordinance after voter passage of a referendum. This comes with a maximum rate of 1% and must be imposed in 0.25% increments. A certified ordinance imposing the tax and election results must be sent to our office by May 1st to become effective July 1st of the same year, or October 1st to become effective January 1st of the following year. What you can see with this is if this requires a referendum, then the deadline is going to be May 1st. The first deadline is going to be May 1st, whereas if it doesn't require voter approval, it will be April 1st. The admin fee on non-home rule is 1.5%. Business district development and redevelopment tax. This tax is designed to fund the development or redevelopment of designated areas within a municipality and can be imposed if the area is contiguous and is blighted. And the definition of blight is found at that statutory reference right there. Voter approval is not required to impose a business district tax. The maximum rate is 1% and must be imposed in 0.25% increments. The tax can be imposed for no longer than 23 years, and you must also file an ordinance to rescind the business district tax. We don't do that automatically for you. The admin fee for business district tax is 2%. A certified ordinance imposing the tax and additional documentation must be sent to our office by April 1st to become effective July 1st of the same year, or October 1st to become effective January 1st of the following year. A list of the additional documentation we need a detailed map of the business district boundaries, a copy of the development or redevelopment plan for the business district, and a detailed list of every address registered with the U.S. Postal Service located within the district's boundaries. I want to emphasize every there. Previously, we have not required that you send in any residential addresses within those boundaries, but now because of leveling the playing field, which we will discuss later, business district tax will also be imposed on shipments to residential addresses within those business district boundaries. So those of you that have an existing business district, you're going to be receiving a letter from the Department of Revenue asking that you please update your address list with every address within the district. You'll need to do that by October 1st for that to take effect January 1st. Just as a favor to us, we would prefer that you get that to us as soon as possible, because if there's over 200 business districts, and if you all wait until September 30th to send those lists in, it's going to be tough for my staff to get through all of that. So the earlier you can send that to us, the better, but we are going to need every address within your business district boundaries sent to us. Changes that can be made after a business district becomes effective. You can add new or delete existing addresses. You can change the boundaries of the existing business district, and you can also increase or decrease the business district sales tax rate, assuming you're not already at the maximum rate. These changes must be reported to us by the same ordinance deadlines that we listed on the previous slide. And as I already mentioned, due to leveling the playing field, residential addresses can now generate business district sales tax revenue as well. Municipal motor fuel tax. At the moment, only municipalities in Cook County can implement a municipal motor fuel tax. I've got SB 0120 there. That was the Senate bill that was proposed in this last session to expand that to municipalities statewide. It did not go anywhere. There has been a bill proposed in the last, I believe, 3 sessions. So there is some interest in expanding this statewide. The reason I include that there, if that's something that you are interested in and you're not in Cook County, I recommend that you talk to your state legislators to try to get that bill passed and made a statewide law. With MMFT, there's a maximum rate of 3 cents per gallon. And for this, it's in increments of 1 cent per gallon. Certified ordinance must be sent to our office by April 1st to become effective July 1st or October 1st to become effective January 1st of the following year, once again. The admin fee is 1.5% for MMFT. CMFT, County Motor Fuel Tax, this is currently only for DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, and Will counties. Once again, I've listed a bill number there, House Bill 1846. That was to expand this statewide and not just limit it to those counties. Once again, this did not go anywhere. Once again, something similar has been proposed the last few sessions. So if you are a county outside of those listed in the first bullet point that would be interested in imposing a county motor fuel tax, you need to speak to your state legislators to try to get that passed. With CMFT, there's a maximum rate of 8 cents per gallon and a minimum rate of 4 cents per gallon. Once again, 1 cent per gallon increments. A certified ordinance imposing the tax must be sent to our office by April 1st to become effective July 1st of the same year, or October 1st to become effective January 1st of the following year. For CMFT, the admin fee is 2%. There is one little kind of different thing with county motor fuel tax, and that is beginning June 2020 and continuing each subsequent year. The Public Act requires IDOR to determine an annual rate increase to take effect July 1st of that year and continue through June 30th of the next year. We must publish that new rate by June 1st of each year on our website. And the rate must be rounded to the nearest 1/10 of 1 cent, and each new rate may not exceed the rate in effect on June 30th of the previous year plus 1 cent. The increase for July 1st, 2021 was 1.2%, but due to rounding, no rates will actually be changed this year. Municipal cannabis tax, or MCAN, these rates can be imposed in 0.25% increments with a maximum of 3%. A certified ordinance imposing the tax must be sent to our office by April 1st to become effective July 1st or October 1st to become effective January 1st. There's an admin fee of 1.5% for MCAN. CCAN, these rates can be imposed in 0.25% increments as well. There is a difference for CCAN though. You can, if you're a county, you can impose 2 tax rates. You can impose an additional 3% in a municipality within your county. So if that municipality also has a 3% rate, there would be a 6% tax on that sale. And then if there's any dispensaries in the unincorporated part of the county, you can impose a rate of 3.75% for those unincorporated sales. Same ordinance deadlines, April 1st and October 1st, and the admin fee for CCAN is 1.5%. One key thing with MCAN and CCAN, since most jurisdictions have, I have 1 or 2 on here, but basically the rule is if there's fewer than 5 businesses, by publicizing that data, we would be breaking confidentiality for those businesses. And a lot of you only have 1. So if we post your MCAN receipts from your 1 dispensary, anybody that can see those figures can back into exactly what the sales were for that dispensary for that period. So we have kept this information off of our website. If you go look at the various spreadsheets with the monthly distribution figures, you'll notice that MCAN and CCAN figures are not on there. If you have a confidential MyLocalTax account, you can see what your MCAN and CCAN distributions were through your MLT confidential account. You will receive a separate distribution for municipal tax, home rule, non-home rule, etc. but on our reports, those distributions will be combined with the other MT, HMR, NHMR, et cetera, totals. You must also protect this information at your local government meetings and on any reports provided at these meetings. If you're depositing your MCAN receipts into one fund and no other revenue goes into that fund, and then you pass out a financial statement at your meeting, you're releasing confidential information to anybody that at your meeting that doesn't have confidential access. So you need to make sure to protect that, and that is for your municipal attorney or state's attorney to determine the best way to handle that. Before we get into Telecom, does anybody have any questions about any of the locally imposed taxes that we've discussed to this point? I know I kind of went through those quickly. This will be posted to the website, so you'll be able to refer back to this. You obviously all already have the PowerPoint to refer back to. And I also want to point out, we'll discuss this more later, but we have information about each tax type on our website that includes what documents need to be sent to the department to impose these taxes, what the deadlines are, things like that. That's all on our website. So this is not the only place for you to get this information. Seeing no questions, we'll move on to Simplified Municipal Telecommunications Tax, or MTT. This is a tax on the privilege of originating or receiving telecommunications and on retailers engaged in the business of transmitting such telecommunications. Voter approval is not required. The state telecom rate is 7%. Municipalities can impose their own rate on top of that 7% in increments of 0.25%, with a maximum rate of 6%, which would bring the total rate for your residents to 13% if you impose the maximum rate. For Telecom, we've got different ordinance deadlines. March 20th to become effective July 1st, or September 20th to become effective January 1st of the following year. Admin fee for Telecom is 0.5%. The taxes imposed on landlines, cell phones, pagers, stationary two-way radios, etc. Prepaid telephone cards and data plans are not included. We get a lot of questions about why the telecom tax revenue is decreasing. That's because a larger and larger portion of your cell phone tax bill is on the data plan, and telecom tax cannot be imposed on that portion of your bill. That is due to a federal law. So if you would like to see data be part of the telecom tax and for your telecom tax receipts to start going back up, you need to talk to any of your U.S. legislators for that. Federal and state governments and state universities created by statute are exempt from this tax. If you're a municipality that wants to impose this, you are responsible for providing each telecommunications provider with a list of addresses located within your taxing jurisdiction. Telecom providers are notified of tax rate increases or decreases through an informational bulletin, which is posted on our website. Telecom tax has the same 4-month collection cycle that we discussed for sales tax. Here are the last 10 years of telecom tax distributions. As you can see, they've decreased by more than 50% since the first year on this report, FY12. And once again, that is a big part of that can be attributed to the fact that data is not taxable. And another thing is more and more people are getting rid of their landline phones, so that's taking out more potential telecom tax revenue for municipalities that impose this. Just some tips for all of these ordinances that we just talked about. There are templates for the ordinances on our website. Our legal department has put those together. Your municipality or county can take that off of our website, and basically all you've got to do is put in the dates, the name of your local government, and the rate that you're imposing, and everything else is already there for you. The reason we have those is because our legal department reviews every ordinance that we get, and they will send you a letter either stating that the ordinance and the new rate will be imposed, or they will request that changes be made to your ordinance. If you use the sample ordinances on our website, you're probably not going to hear from our legal department that you need to make changes. So that's why it's important that you refer to those ordinances. At this time, the required documentation that we've talked about on these previous slides must be mailed to our office. We need certified ordinances, we need original signatures, we need original documentation, so it must be mailed. We are in the process of developing another submission process for you, an option for you, but we're not ready to talk too much about that yet. Hopefully this fall we will have that for you. Regarding the ordinance deadlines that we talked about on previous slides, we use the postmark date on the envelope. So as long as you get it in the mail, as long as the post office stamps it April 1st, if the deadline's April 1st, we're going to accept that. If you want to verify that we received your ordinance, please check with us before the deadline. I can't tell you the number of times that people have called or emailed us after the deadline to ask if we got it, and we didn't. If you ask us before, obviously you still have time to send us the information. So please make it a habit, if you're going to check on that, which I would recommend that you do, please do that before the deadline. Okay, personal property replacement taxes, PPRT. These are revenues collected by IDOR to replace money that was lost by local governments when your powers to impose personal property taxes were taken away. The qualifications to receive a distribution. The taxing district must have been in existence prior to July 1st, 1979, and they must have received revenue from personal property tax from the 1976 tax year for taxing districts within Cook County, or 1977 tax year for taxing districts in the remaining 101 counties. This includes replacement tax imposed on the net Illinois income of C Corps, partnerships, trusts, and S Corps, invested capital tax, electricity distribution tax, which is based on kilowatt hours, and telecommunications infrastructure maintenance fees. The net collections of the taxes are deposited into the PPRT fund and distributed to local taxing districts. Net collections equal total collections minus stipends, additional compensations, salary reimbursements, and deposits made into the refund fund. For PPRT, we send 8 distributions a year: January, March, April, May, July, August, October, and December. These distributions are made based on each district's share of PPRT collection from the appropriate 1976 or 77 tax year. Certain taxing districts are required to pay a proportionate share of PPRT funds they receive to the municipality, library, or cemetery district if personal property taxes were previously levied in 1976 or 1977 and paid to those taxing districts. As you all know or should know, we post fiscal year estimates for PPRT to our website around the 1st of August. This is an estimate. When the estimate has come in above what you actually received, we always receive a few questions how we're going to pay back that difference. We don't. Once again, this is an estimate. This year you received more than estimated. You have not received a letter from us asking to pay that difference. We won't, because once again, it's an estimate. We post this estimate to the same place on our website every year. You don't need to ask us if we've updated the estimate. Just check the website. As soon as we have it, it is posted. And another thing, when we post it this year, we'll talk more about our LTAD quarterly newsletter and the Gov't delivery service later in this presentation. But hopefully you all received our quarterly newsletter that we sent out in May, which we will be sending another one in October. As we said in that newsletter, we're not going to send one in July because we've got this workshop now and it'd be a quick turnaround and probably not any new information to send. But we will send a message via Gov't delivery when that estimate has been posted. But it's posted around the 1st of August. We always start getting questions in March wanting to know if it's posted yet. It's not going to be posted till around the 1st of August. As I mentioned, PPRT receipts were higher in fiscal year 2021. And the explanation we were given was that we received higher business income tax receipts than what was estimated. Here's the last 10 years of PPRT distributions. As you can see, FY21 was a good year. After a drop in 18, they have steadily increased every year for the last 4 years. I don't know if we can expect to see that again in FY22, but at least you received more money this year than you thought you were going to. Does anybody have any questions about PPRT before we move on to population-based disbursements? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the population-based disbursements. These are distributions of income tax, use tax, and cannabis excise tax that each municipality or county receives based on its population in proportion to the total state population. These population figures are based on the latest census conducted by the United States Bureau of the Census and certified by the Office of the Secretary of State. Use tax and cannabis excise tax follow the same 4-month cycle as sales tax and telecom tax. Unlike the other tax types, income tax is allocated the month after it is paid. I know you're all concerned about the newest census. We still have not received the results of the 2020 census. In 2011, we received those figures in April, and they were reflected in the June distributions. So that can tell you that basically you can probably expect to receive the updated population figures or disbursements based on the updated population figures 2 months after we receive that data. But once again, we have not yet received that. We have not received any information as to when we should expect that data. We will notify you when the population changes will take effect via Gov't delivery message and the LTAD quarterly newsletter, depending on when this takes effect. Income tax is imposed on individuals, trusts, and estates, 4.95% of their net income, and corporations, 7% of their net income. As of August 1st, 2017, you started to receive 6.06% of net collections of all income tax received from individuals, trusts, and estates, and 6.85% of net collections and income tax received from corporations. We've got the statutory reference there for you if you need it. Net collections is total collections less deposits into the refund fund. You can see that there was an increase in income tax distributions this year over last year. And just some information for you on, you've probably seen some fluctuations in your income tax allocations. The 2019 individual income tax filing deadline was extended from April 15th to July 15th, 2020 due to COVID. Typically, May is a larger distribution period because so many people pay closer to the deadline. As we said, with income tax, distributions occur the month after we receive the money. So since the deadline was extended from April to July, instead of seeing a large distribution in May 2020, you should have seen a larger one in August 2020 than you're used to. Now for this year, the 2020 individual income tax filing deadline was extended from April 15th to May 17th, 2021, which was just a 1-month extension. May 15th fell on a weekend, which is why it's the 17th. Because of when the extension was announced, though, many had already filed. So you probably received a larger distribution in May 2021, but you'll also see, or you also should have seen, a larger June distribution this month because of that May deadline. Local use tax, or ULO, this is imposed on the privilege of using in Illinois any item of tangible personal property purchased anywhere at retail. This is reported by individuals on their ST44 and retailers on their ST1. Some examples of use tax liability are listed here. State rates for use tax, 6.25% for general merchandise, 1% qualifying food, drugs, and medical appliances, and 6.25% for titled or registered items. Use tax from items that are titled or registered with a state agency are distributed based on the registered address on the return is included with the 1% local government share of state sales tax. So when you see this on your allocation remittance report, you may see use tax. That means it came from a titled or registered item. Use tax monies, with the exception of titled or registered items, are deposited into the state and local sales tax reform fund for distribution to local governments. State and local sales tax reform fund is distributed monthly in the method listed below. 20% off the top goes to Chicago, 10% to the RTA, 0.6% to the Metro East Transit District. 3.15 million then goes to the Build Illinois Fund, and then the remaining balance is distributed to municipal and county governments except Chicago based on your population. We've got fiscal our FY distributions here for use tax. You can see the FY21 was a good year for use tax as well, but we'll get more into that a little bit later and why you should expect to see that decrease moving forward. Cannabis use tax, CUT. There's a state excise tax on all adult use cannabis sales, a portion of which is allocated to local governments based on population. You get this money whether you have a dispensary or not, whether you've passed a cannabis statute allowing or disallowing cannabis in your county or your municipality. Everyone gets this money. Now there's a requirement with this money. These funds must be used to fund crime prevention programs, training, and interdiction efforts, including detection, enforcement, and prevention efforts relating to the illegal cannabis market and driving under the influence of cannabis. So whatever money you get from CUT, it must be spent based on the description in that dot point. This has only been for 2 fiscal years. You can see that those amounts increased this year over last year. Aviation fuel tax. You must certify an airport purpose to IDOT on or before May 1st each year. The contact at the Illinois Department of Transportation is Rick Boris. I've got his title and his phone number there. IDOT handles those certifications. IDOR does not have anything to do with whether or not you have an airport purpose. Once that statute changed, municipalities and local governments will no longer receive the 1% MT, CT, or 0.25% CST on aviation fuel tax sales. Those go into a statewide aviation fund. Beginning on 1/1/21, so this calendar year, the only tax types that you will receive aviation fuel tax on if you certify an airport purpose are home rule, non-home rule, and then the MED, the RTA, and county home rule, which Cook County is the only one with county home rule. Other locally imposed taxes are no longer applicable on aviation fuel sales. Our website, if you use the search bar on the Department of Revenue website and type in aviation fuel, you can find the page where we list all of the local governments that have a certified airport purpose. And just so you know, Rick Boris and IDOT, they send us a spreadsheet each year. And if you're not on that spreadsheet, you're not on our website, and you're not going to receive aviation fuel tax revenue. We had a situation earlier this year where somebody forwarded an email where Rick had told them they were certified, but for whatever reason, he left that local government off of the spreadsheet that was sent to us. So we can't go back and fix that. We just go off that list that's sent to us by IDOT, and then you would have to wait until the following year to get added back on. But this is something you have to do annually. You have to certify that airport purpose annually. Just general information about the distribution of taxes. You will receive a separate distribution for each tax type. We suggest that all recipients sign up for direct deposit rather than receiving a paper check. And you can track your distributions on the comptroller's website. The vendor tin that you need to log into their website can be found on our website under monthly disbursements. Before we get to the discussion on MyLocalTax, does anybody have any questions about any of the locally imposed taxes, PPRT, Telecom, or any of the population-based disbursements that we just discussed? Okay, hearing none. So you guys that have been around a while, you knew Brenda Towers. She got promoted and I filled her position, and then she retired and Max Letterly filled her position. Some of you met Max when we were still doing in-person workshops in 2019. A lot of you knew Gloria Crook. She retired a couple years ago, and we've been waiting a while to fill her position. COVID delayed that a little bit, but we do finally have her position filled. It's been filled by Trevor Atkins, and we were hoping to have him here for you guys all to meet. But him and his wife just had their first baby last week, so he is out of the office and not here for you all to meet. But just in case that happened, we had him record a short video that goes over some of the frequently asked questions regarding MyLocalTax. So we're going to use that to introduce all of you to Trevor. So let me go ahead now and play that video.
Hello everybody. I want to take a quick second to introduce myself. My name is Trevor Atkins. I am the supervisor for the local tax allocation division. I work with Aaron Allen, who I'm sure you guys are all familiar with. And I might be new to the local tax allocation division, but I've been with the department for 13 years now. And I'm very experienced with regards to sales tax, and I'm becoming well versed in how local portions of taxes are collected and distributed back to local governments. I know that we are doing the workshops again virtually this year, but I'm hoping by next year that we'll be able to host these in person, and I'll get a chance to meet some of you face to face. So with that being said, we will go ahead and start. Now I'm going to go over some of the frequently asked questions, as well as direct you to additional training materials that go more in depth. Our first frequently asked question is, why was I denied? So some of the reasons why your registration for a MyLocalTax account with confidential access could be denied is the information exchange agreement is not current, or if your municipality imposes telecom tax, you do not have current information exchange agreements for both sales and telecom. And it could also be because the registrant is not on the approved list. Our next question is, what is our ordinance location number and local taxing district number? When completing your registration, you will need your ordinance location number or your local taxing district number, as you can see in this screenshot. If you look over to the right where the arrow is pointing, you will see a question mark icon circled. If you click on that icon, it will bring up information on how to find these numbers. So your ordinance location number is an 8-digit number that you can find by searching your local government using the Illinois Department of Revenue's tax database. This number can also be found on your monthly tax location verification letter, which is in the top left-hand corner beginning on page 3. You can also find it on your personal property tax replacement disbursement checks, if you receive those. And if you view the PPRT spreadsheets on our website, your local taxing district number is listed there as well. If you can't find them, you may contact us and ask for those numbers. Again, you only need one of these numbers to register for an account, not both. Our next question, what is the difference between confidential and basic access? So to have confidential access, your name must appear on the authorized list to be granted access. And those with confidential access can order and view allocation remittance reports through MyLocalTax, as well as view correspondence that includes confidential information. All other tasks in MyLocalTax can be completed with basic access, such as entering rebate sharing agreements, ordering taxpayer listings, and verifying taxpayer locations. Our next question is, I've received and viewed a new message or letter, but when I returned to view it again, it was gone. Where did my letter or message go? On both the home page and on the correspondence tab, only unread messages and letters are displayed. So to view a message or letter again, you must go to the correspondence tab, then select the View Messages or View Letters button. These tabs will contain copies of all messages or correspondence sent to you by OIDOR. Next question. if my municipality is in more than one county, is the MyLocalTax registration process the same? So if your municipality is in more than one county, you will need to register for a separate account for each county. And when you are ordering reports or completing tasks in MyLocalTax, you will need to do so for each account, meaning each county, to complete the process for your entire municipality. Also, if you happen to work for more than one local government, you will need to set up a separate account for each location. Our next question, where do I go in MyLocalTax to order reports? Once you've logged into MyLocalTax, you must choose an account to order a report. So your account choices are the allocation account, business district account, or PPRT, personal property replacement tax account. From the allocation or business district accounts, go to the I want to section in the upper right and select what action you are wanting to take. Now, I want to make an important note here because we get this question all the time. If the only I want to choices you have are send a message and audit referral, you are on the home screen of MyLocalTax. You must choose an account to open up all the other choices under the I want to section. Our next frequently asked question, what period should I select to order my allocation remittance report? So you need to keep in mind there is a 4-month cycle for distributions. So first you have the liability month, which is the month the sales were made in. Then you have the collection or allocation month, which is when the tax returns are filed and paid. Then you have the processing month, which is when the returns are reviewed, and then finally the disbursement month, which is when the distributions are made. So in this example here, we have January as the sales month or liability month, February as the collection month when the tax returns are filed and paid, and then March, the returns are reviewed by the department, so that's the processing month. And then in April is when the distributions are made, so that's the distribution month. So you should order your allocation remittance report for the collection month. So in this example, if you want to see the January sales, you should order the report for February in MyLocalTax. The period is the collection month. So using the example above, if you select the February 2021 in MyLocalTax, you will be viewing allocations that were made in April of 2021. Our next question, has MyLocalTax changed the tax location verification or TLV process? Well, because of the time savings that was created by MyLocalTax, we in LTAD are able to review new business registrations using GIS and property tax bills. Now for you local governments, you have 2 functions in MyLocalTax to complete the TLV process. So for businesses already verified by us in LTAD, you would use the response to tax location verification function, and then you would either agree or disagree. Now, if you find yourself often disagreeing, you should contact LTAD because you may have annexed a property and did not notify us at the department of that change, which allows us to update our GIS system. For new or reinstated and discontinued businesses, you would use the verified tax locations function. Now for both functions, the period selected should be the month prior to the date on your letter. So for instance, if your letter is dated March 15th of 2021, the period in MyLocalTax would be February of 2021. Now the letters are issued on the 15th of each month or subsequent business day. Our next question, why have I not received my triannual report? Well, that's because the department no longer mails CDs. So the only way you can receive the confidential financial information now is through MyLocalTax. Now you can request MyLocalTax remittance reports as often as you would like in 1, 3, or 12-month periods. Now when ordering the 3 or 12-month reports, you would choose the last month of that period. Once those reports are ordered, the reports will be viewable in your MyLocalTax account within about 1 to 2 business days. Our next question, Why have I not received my annual taxpayer listing? Again, the department is no longer automatically mailing out the annual taxpayer listings. So if you have a MyLocalTax account, you will receive your annual taxpayer listing electronically through your account. If you do not have a MyLocalTax account, you will need to contact us in LTAD. We can send your annual listing either by mail or email. You can also order taxpayer listings at any time as well through your MyLocalTax account and receive the file in about 1 to 2 business days. And our last question, where do I get help? You can see in this screenshot, we have the tutorial and FAQ links circled. If you click on the tutorial link, you will get an in-depth look at how to perform tasks in MyLocalTax, including the entire registration process. Clicking on the FAQs link will take you to the frequently asked questions we just covered. And from there, you can also link to the LTAD homepage, which has additional training materials for local government officials that are very useful, including video tutorials of MyLocalTax by topic. Now, I want to let you all know, coming in September of this year, the department will be rolling out a new streamlined look for MyLocalTax. Some of the new features will include finding your accounts and major to-do items with ease. You'll also be able to directly access your most used functions. And there will be a mobile-friendly snap-to-fit screen design, good for use on any electronic device. Now, the items that I discussed in my presentation reflect how the process currently works, but there may be some new changes when the new version rolls out. For that reason, LTAD will post an updated tutorial to reflect any changes with the new version, and will send out a message via our department's email, SMS, text subscription service to notify users when the new tutorial is posted. That concludes our frequently asked questions segment, and I look forward to working with you in my new role at the department. At this time, please let us know if you have any other questions regarding MyLocalTax.
A few more things on the MyLocalTax portal. There is a new function that many of you have found on there that says Submit Audit Referral. We've talked with the audit department, and not everything that's coming in that way should actually be an audit referral. I think there's been 20 audit referrals submitted through MyLocalTax since January 1st, and 15 of those came back to LTAD. So what we're going to ask you to do from now on is, when you have something that you want to submit through the audit referral function, please call or email LTAD first and let us know the situation, and we'll let you know if you need to go through with the audit referral submission, or if that's something that we should just handle. As Trevor stated in the video, there's more changes coming. We use Gentax. We've got version 12 coming in September, which is what will change the visual characteristics of MyLocalTax, but we've also got some functions that we want to add to it. I don't know how soon they're going to come after that rollout, but as he said, once we make the changes to MyLocalTax, we'll update the tutorial. We will alert you via MyLocalTax message and Gov't delivery message, and or the newsletter to let you know the new tutorial has been posted. And we're also talking about doing another video like the one Trevor just did for the FAQ, going through the step-by-step process of the new functions in MyLocalTax. For those of you that are somewhat new to your local government, we did a video back in 2019 when MyLocalTax first rolled out. Those videos are on our website under training materials for local government officials. So please refer to that. And then, as he said, we've also got the tutorial and the FAQ, which are now not only located at that spot on our website, but also are available to you in the portal. A few more things about MyLocalTax. An account is not automatically created once your name has been added to the approved list on the Information Exchange Agreement. Each person must register for their own account. We also get questions how to register. Go to MyLocalTax. There's a link that says don't have an account, register here. It also as Trevor stated with the ordinance location number, we've added the question mark icon to tell you where to find that. Everybody should be able to log in, no problem. We're asking that you please don't share accounts. There's a few reasons for that. If, for instance, you change from basic to confidential access and you are letting other people also use your account that may not have confidential, not be on the reciprocal agreement, then you're breaking the confidentiality statute by letting them access MyLocalTax through your account. Also, if you have multiple people that do TLV and things like that, if you all share one account, then you're not going to know for sure who the person is that responded to that letter that did TLV. So if everybody has their own accounts, then you know exactly who within your government used that account. Please alert us as soon as someone leaves employment with your local government so we can close their account. This is especially important if they have a confidential account. If someone retired, or you all just had elections within the last few months, if they lost the election, if you don't have us close that account, they can still access that information and get the confidential information, which is a violation of the confidentiality statute. A lot of people have problems with answering the security question when you forget your password. It's case sensitive. You also have to have the correct username. A lot of people are like, hey, this doesn't work. Well, you're not even putting in the correct username. So please just, I'm not saying you need to have your username and password and security question written down on your desk for everybody to see, but everybody's used to having passwords to websites. This shouldn't be as difficult as it's being made out to be. Another thing for security purposes, if you get the security question wrong, it doesn't tell you that. It'll say it's emailed the password to you, but it won't do it. And the reason for that is if someone is phishing and trying to guess your security question and reset your password, we don't want them to know that they got it wrong so they can keep trying. Another thing is to please make sure you're logging into MyLocalTax and not MyTax or MyDeck, or that you're not somewhere on our website. We get all these questions where you can't find things, and then you send a screenshot and you're not even in MyLocalTax. These are separate portals. I don't know. I didn't expect to have some of these problems that people have had with MyLocalTax, but we can't. It's not MyLocalTax's fault if you're trying to log into MyTax. And all the emails we get say, hey, there's something wrong with your system. No, you're logging into the wrong thing. We can't fix that. That's not something that is our error, that's user error. And just kind of along those same lines, when you have MyLocalTax questions, we've got the tutorial and the FAQ on our website. We've added them to the MyLocalTax portal to make it easier to find. Please refer to that. My staff is stretched thin. We're reviewing every single new business that comes into every jurisdiction in the state every month. Leveling the playing field and these other statutes have put more on us. Something's got to give, and that's something. The first something is going to be answering basic questions that can be answered by materials that are already on our website. Like I said earlier when we were talking about the different tax types, every tax type that we administer is listed separately on our website, and it will give you the statutory deadlines. It will give you what documents need to be submitted, everything else. That's not a question that you need to necessarily send us, whether it's calling or emailing. I'm not trying to say we're not here to answer questions, but we want to give our time to the questions that need more research and are more difficult questions that you can't just answer from our website. We need you to meet us halfway on some of this stuff and do a little research yourself. If you don't know what our website is, everybody on my staff now has our website linked in the signature on our email. Bookmark that page. You can find training materials. You can find information about each tax type. Like I said, you can find the PPRT estimate. Everything we've talked about today is on our website, and we just need a little help from you to try to look some of that stuff up on your own. Another just general suggestion, when you send us an email or leave a voicemail, please include details about what you need. Typically, we'll have if you leave us a voicemail, if you tell us what you're calling for and details about the business or whatever, we'll have the answer when we call you back. Instead, we'll get an email that says, is this the place to talk to about X? Well, if it is, yes, and now we're going to have to email back and forth to get the information we need. And if it's not, we're going to forward your email to the right place. So please just include, if you're wondering why you're not seeing tax revenue from a certain business, give us the business name, its address, its account ID. What periods have you not seen revenue from? Give us that information. We'll look it up and we'll have an answer for you when we get back to you, rather than needing to make 3 or 4 emails or 3 or 4 phone calls to get all the information. Communicate with the interested parties in your local government. A month ago, within a day and a half, we got the same question 3 times from 3 different people at the same local government. We're not going to continue to do that. You guys need to talk to each other. If it's important information for multiple people in your office, then let them know when you get that answer. When we get these questions that can be answered by the tutorial or the FAQ or our website, we're going to respond with a link to that. If you ask us a question that somebody in your office asked us yesterday, we're going to respond by telling you to ask them. We just can't continue to kind of hold everybody's hand on all of this. And then also share information. And when I say share information, obviously I don't mean confidential information, but many of you belong to local government officials associations for counties, for municipalities. Many of you are involved with the IML, who I believe is in on this workshop today. Please, if you get information from us about something, feel free to share that. If you ask us why your PPRT disbursement was higher this month, when you're talking to other treasurers or other clerks from other local governments, let them know the answer. And then, 15 people don't have to email us. Everybody can get the email at the same time. And information like that, we're going to start including with our Gov delivery messages and with our quarterly newsletter as well. But just when you're talking to not coworkers, when you're talking to fellow treasurers, fellow clerks, fellow local government officials from your neighboring communities, let them know these things because it's information that everybody needs to have. So we've referred to confidentiality of taxes a few times. We're going to get into more details about that now. By law, all information received by IDOR from individual sales tax returns, telecom tax returns, or from any investigation is confidential and cannot be released. There are 2 ways information can be released. You can either enter into a reciprocal agreement for exchange of information with the Illinois Department of Revenue, or you can receive written authorization from the taxpayer or provider. Local governments that previously submitted an authorization to release sales tax information to local governments pursuant to a rebate sharing agreement with another entity, such as a developer, taxpayer, or other local government, that requires an accounting of the amount the municipality or county received from a certain taxpayer can be shared with that entity if the taxpayer completes a form or statement giving the local government authorization to release their sales tax information to the entity. The confidentiality of a taxpayer's filing must be protected. Some of the things you can request from us, you can request a top filer report. This will give you an aggregate total of the 1% local government share of the state sales tax the local government received from their top sales tax contributors within a specified time period. The top filers are listed in numeric order by Illinois account IDs. So if you're going to ask for that, let us know. Do you want a top 5? Do you want a top 10? What period of time do you want that report over? Is it 1 year, 2 years? Give us that information. We can send you a report that will say, over the last 2 years, here's the 10 retailers you received the most revenue from. And just so you know, as far as FOIA requests go, confidential information received from IDOR cannot be requested by the general public under the FOIA Act. Please refer to, and we've got the statute reference there. Information exchange agreements. As of January 1st, 2015, all municipalities became eligible to enter into a reciprocal agreement with IDOR. As of June 30th, 2016, counties received that same eligibility. We have developed a template for the recertification letter. It's available on our website. The attachment A, which is the actual agreement, the reciprocal agreement, and the attachment B, which has to be signed by each person listed on your letter, we need original signatures on those. So you'll need to mail those to our office. We can't receive those via email. The certification, recertification letter, you can scan and email that to us. If you're applying for a confidential account in MyLocalTax, you must be included on the information exchange agreement. I can't tell you how many accounts we have to deny because everybody just chooses confidential. And if you're not on the agreement, you have to request basic access or first be added to the agreement. For a request to be approved, you have to have both a sales tax and a telecom, if you impose telecom, agreement on file. Like I said before, if you're not listed on the agreement, you can register for a basic account. You have to recertify your agreement annually. If you have a confidential MyLocalTax account, you will receive a message automatically at least 30 days prior to this recertification deadline to let you know it's time to recertify the agreement. That includes information on exactly what you need to do and a link to the template for the letter. Please, if you get an email that says you have a new message in your account from us, please read it, because what we're finding is people don't read those messages, and then you don't find out until your account has been locked that's the next dot point here. Confidential accounts whose recertifications are not completed within an acceptable amount of time will have their accounts locked until recertification is completed. So please view that message. Please recertify ahead of time. If you log in and it says this profile login account has been closed, 99% of the time that's because you didn't recertify your information exchange agreement, which means you didn't read the message we sent you 30 days in advance to warn you about that. And then it typically means you're in a hurry and you need a report for a meeting. We work correspondence on a first in, first out basis. So if you ignore our message for 30 days, we're not going to bump you to the front of the line to get all the recertification completed just because you have to get a report off of MyLocalTax that day for a meeting. The messages we send are important. We allocated over $10 billion this fiscal year. If somebody that's sending out $10 billion is sending me a message, I'm going to read it to make sure I have all the information possible and make sure I'm getting all of my portion of that money as I can. So please read our messages. If you do get locked out, you need to send us the information to recertify. But like I said, we work these on a first in, first out basis. So you may not necessarily get that access back that day. A few more things with information exchange agreements. Your recertification is due annually from the last time you updated your agreement, not necessarily January 1st. We always get a flood of these at the start of the calendar year, which if that's the case, your recertification date probably is now early January because of that. But you guys just had elections. If you make a change on your list today, your new recertification date is now June 16th. Anytime you make an update, that restarts the annual recertification deadline. So if you make an update today, you're not going to have to update again or recertify again until June 16th of 2022, and you would receive a message at a minimum in the middle of May to let you know that date is coming up. If you did have a change in officials in the last few months, either county or muni, or if somebody retired, anytime somebody leaves, if they're on your agreement, please contact us, get them removed, add the new person to it if you want to add a new person to your list. When you're doing this recertification annually, you don't have to send us the attachment A every single year. We need it the first time you set up your agreement, and then we don't need it again after that. The attachment B, that's the one that each individual person on the list needs to fill out. Once you've filled it out once, we don't need another one from you. We don't need you to send the B every single year. But any new person has to send that B. So, every year with the recertification letter, we get a packet with a new A and 12 new Bs or whatever. We don't need that. We just need the letter if you've already got an existing agreement. We've got a template on our website, as I said. Don't make any changes to that template. Basically, all you have to put in is the name of your local government and the list of approved names, and then you notate whether it's a city, a village, a town, a county, whatever the case may be. Other than that, don't make changes to our template. We're not going to accept it. We're going to write you back and say you need to send this on our template. And also, we've a few times people have asked, if you get married and your name changes for whatever reason, please update the letter with your new name. That way we know if we get, a confidential request in MyLocalTax, we know that John Doe is John Smith, but his name changed in the last year for whatever reason. So please, even if it's just a name change, update your list with the new name. And when you're sending that recertification letter, please list all names on the approved list. Some of you like to say, okay, we got a new treasurer, so please add this person to our list. All we're going to do, that your list is now that person, because if you read the template, it says the following are the approved people. So if you send us a list with one name, that's the only name that's now on your list. So you need to, when you send that recertification letter, even if you're only adding one person, you already have 5 people on it, your new recertification letter should have 6 names on it, not just the one new one. Any questions about information exchange agreements before we move on to rebate sharing agreements? Okay. Rebate sharing agreements, these are agreements made between a local government and a business to share or rebate any portion of the retailer's occupation taxes. These are reported through the MyLocalTax portal, and by statute, you have to report these. If you have existing rebate sharing agreements, you need to check the MyLocalTax portal and make sure you've entered them in there. And if you haven't, you need to. These agreements are on our website. They're made available to the public. Now, something you're all concerned about is how to make sure you're receiving your correct distributions. Review the annual taxpayer location address list. That is now sent out through MyLocalTax. If you don't have a MyLocalTax account, you need to contact us to send that to you. You can also, if you have a MyLocalTax account, you can order a taxpayer listing at any time, and that basically gives you an updated taxpayer list, and you need to review that and make sure all of your businesses are listed there. You can also order a taxpayer listing for any local government, any jurisdiction that is contiguous to yours. So all of your neighboring communities that could maybe accidentally have your businesses registered to them, you can order those taxpayer listings as well and review those. Complete the tax location verification process monthly. We send out the monthly letter with all of the new reinstated, discontinued, and verified by LTAD locations. Please complete that. You can do that through MyLocalTax. You can send that to us. We're going to talk about that on a subsequent slide. Promptly report annexations to our office. This is the biggest reason we find that businesses are listed in the incorrect jurisdiction. It's because you've made an annexation and you didn't report it to us, so we haven't updated your boundaries with our GIS system. I mentioned the annual taxpayer location address list. This is the annual schedule we follow. They're sent out by zone. I know that's pretty small on there, so you may not be able to see the numbers. You should be able to see, where your county is, but that's the schedule we follow when it comes to the annual taxpayer location address list. Like I said, it's provided through MyLocalTax. If you don't have an account, you must contact us to request the report, or you can order a taxpayer listing at any time through MyLocalTax, so you don't have to wait for your annual listing. Reporting discrepancies. Per statute, IDOR can only reallocate funds for 6 distributions from the date we are notified of the discrepancy. For example, if a business is registered to the wrong jurisdiction for 3 years before you notify us, we can only take back 6 months of distributions from the incorrect jurisdiction to give to you. It may take time to research this discrepancy, and other departments within IDOR may have to get involved, so this may not be a quick process. However, we always use the initial notification date to make the adjustments. So we'll be able to reallocate for 6 distributions from when you notified us, as well as anything that came in while you were waiting on a response from us. So it may end up being more than 6. We will contact you once the adjustment has been made. You don't need to continually follow up. if we had to refer the issue to another division, such as audit, it could take up to 1 to 2 years for this process to be completed. We have some people, we get questions and we say we've had to refer this to another division. This may take 1 to 2 years. We will let you know when we have more information for you. And then a month later, we get another email asking for an update. The other divisions within IDOR don't give us updates, so we don't have information to pass on to you. I promise you, once we have an answer, you will get it from us, but we don't always get one quickly, depending on who has to get involved. A little more information about TLV. This is a monthly letter generated. It's generated on the 15th of each month and either sent via MyLocalTax or mailed. So that job should have run last night. So those of you with MyLocalTax should have your newest TLV letter in your account. These reports are broken down into 3 categories: new reinstated businesses, discontinued businesses, or businesses that are verified by LTAD. My staff is reviewing every month, every one of these businesses. We're using property tax bills and our GIS to determine where these are at. So hopefully, like Trevor said in his video, hopefully you're not seeing a lot of incorrect information on the verified by LTAD section, but if you are, please contact us, because it probably means there's an annexation that we don't have. It's very important that you complete this each month so the discrepancies can be caught before incorrect allocations are made. In MyLocalTax, the period you select is 1 month less than the month on your letter. So you received the letter dated 6/15. In this case, I'll say 21. You need to select the May 2021 period in MyLocalTax to complete that process. However, we've seen where some of these don't always. I'm not going to say that MyLocalTax is perfect. There's some work we need to do to it and that we have planned for it. One of those, we're trying to make the TLV process better. Sometimes for whatever reason, it doesn't go to the correct month. You have a list of 12 months in the drop-down list. Please just check the other months before you contact us. A lot of times we'll have somebody will look at 1 month and then call or email, and it was just a matter of looking at another month. Again, I apologize if that happens. I know MyLocalTax isn't perfect. We're working on it to make it better, but please use the resources you have and check the other periods to make sure it's not there before you contact us. The other thing is, if multiple people have access to it from your local government, they may have already responded to that, and that may be why it's not there. With TLV, the address is 95% of the TLV process. We get all kinds of responses to these. We'll have a business and it'll say, well, this is an online business, or this we don't have a local license for this one. We don't necessarily care if it's an online business. What we care about is this address in your jurisdiction. If it's not, let us know where it belongs to, if you know. If we've got the business listed as under discontinued, you don't need to reply to tell us that the business closed. We're telling you that. It turns into this never-ending cycle of we tell you it's closed and then you respond to saying it's closed, and it just never. The address is what matters. Please review the addresses and make sure they are in your jurisdiction. Now, one thing that does come up with these discontinued businesses, we'll get contacted and say, this one's still open. It may be possible that they just changed something with their registration. So the old license gets closed and they get issued a new one. So check your letter to make sure it's not under the new reinstated or verified by LTAD. And it could be on another period. Another thing you can do is order an updated taxpayer listing to see if a business at that address is still listed on your taxpayer listing, just to make sure, because most of the time we get that where we hear, well, this is still open. 99% of the time it seems like it's just a matter of where they got a new license because of a registration change, and we do still have them as in operation. Annexations and disconnections. These take effect the date the ordinance is passed. So for that reason, if possible, either vote on the ordinance on the 1st of the month or post date the ordinance to take effect the 1st of the next month to make tax filing easier for any affected businesses. It is up to the municipality to contact any impacted businesses that their rate has changed. So if you have a city council meeting tonight and you annex a property with 5 businesses on it, that means that when they open tomorrow, and they may already be closed today by the time you pass that ordinance. When they open tomorrow, they should be charging the new rate. That doesn't give you much time to alert them of the new rate. That's why it's better for all involved if you make that effective on the 1st. The other thing is that I mean, they need time to update their computers and cash registers and everything with the new tax rate. And if you do change it in the middle of the month, they now have to file a tax return with sales at the unincorporated county rate at the first part of the month and the municipality rate at the second part of the month. And some of them may not know how to file the ST2, the multiple site form, and could cause problems for them. So it would just make it easier for everybody involved if you make it effective on the 1st. And and you need to alert us as soon as you pass this as well, because we have to update our GIS. We have to alert any impacted businesses. Even though you're required to, we still notify those businesses as well. And if possible, give them advance notice. I mean, obviously you don't always know that an ordinance is going to pass, but you can at least let them know that it's up for vote on a given night and that it could potentially be changing. We had earlier this year, we had a couple municipalities that didn't tell us for 4 months that the rate or that there was an annexation, and they also didn't alert the businesses. And then once the municipality alerted us of when the date took effect, we went back and we charged them the new tax rate for all of those months that they were technically annexed into the municipality, because by law that's what we had to do. Um, and now these businesses had to pay out of their pocket for a tax rate they didn't collect because they didn't know about it. And I know a couple of you, I don't know if you're on or not, but those businesses went back to you to request that you pay for that because it was your fault for not notifying them. So please, I know I keep bringing this up, but I want to let you know how important it is that you notified LTAD and you notify any impacted businesses, and how much easier it makes it for everybody if you set that date on the 1st of the next month so everyone has time to get everything set up. When there's an annexation or disconnection, you should send us, here's a list of everything that you should send us, and I don't have it listed here, but you also need to send a statement confirming that you have alerted any impacted businesses. County clerks, you must submit a P-Tax 270 form within 30 days of the annexation. This is what alerts our GIS group to update the boundaries of the municipality. For annexations, a municipality can request a special census conducted by the Bureau of the Census, which can increase the number of residents within the municipality when residential areas are annexed into corporate limits. Any questions about annexations or disconnections before we move on to the next item? We had a question in chat about residential addresses, if we need alerted, or senior housing. Yes, you need to alert us of any annexation because we need to have the proper boundaries in our GIS. And why that's important now, as we'll get to soon, is leveling the playing field. If somebody orders something that ships from outside the state, it gets taxed at the destination rate. So you're going to want those, every residential address that's within your jurisdiction, you want that reported to us so you can get that tax revenue that you're entitled to. We can't change that if you don't alert us. And that's really just anything, any ordinance you pass, any annexation, disconnection, any election result that we need. We don't, I feel like some people think we review every newspaper in the state every day to start our day just to get up to date on what's going on. We have no idea what ordinances you're passing. We don't know about them unless you send them to us. So we can't impose your new tax rate or change your boundaries because of an annexation or anything else until you send us the information. So please make sure to send us this. Anything you do that impacts your tax revenue or potentially impacts your tax revenue, you need to be sending our way. So the next thing we're going to talk about really quick is the Senior Citizens Real Estate Tax Deferral Program. We have not really talked about this in a workshop before, but I wanted to include it. We get a lot of questions about it. Applications for this are due March 1st. We are now sending this out. The forms, we're not mailing them. We are sending an email with attachments around December 1st. So if you don't get that email around December 1st, please let us know. We sent it to one email with each county that had existing participants this past December, and we found out from a lot of people they never got it because someone didn't forward it on. If you get an email from us or a letter from us and it's addressed to the clerk and it should have been sent to the treasurer or vice versa, please share it with people in your office. Instead of just deleting it or shredding it or whatever you do, if there's an email for the treasurer and you're the clerk, forward it on to them, please, or vice versa. I think we get caught in the middle of some office disagreements sometimes where the clerk and the treasurer don't get along and they don't speak, and we're not getting in the middle of that. If we send you a letter and you're the clerk and you know it goes to the treasurer, give it to them. We're not going to be the middleman for this stuff. If we send with the, I keep mentioning the quarterly newsletter, we mailed one copy to every local taxing district in the state. If you keep hearing me talk about it and you haven't seen it yet, you need to talk to someone in your office because someone in your office has it. It's also posted on our website. It was also sent via MyLocalTax message. But please share those letters and emails with the correct person if you're not the correct person. When, as a county treasurer, when you're sending us a check, please let us know the PIN number of the property and the date the payment was received. Also, if you kept the treasurer's fee from that payment. And then also, if the lien releases need to be sent somewhere other than the address on the account, please give us that address as well. A lot of times we have to send that to title companies, but we don't know unless you include that with the check. Also, when you contact us to request a payoff letter, please once again provide the PIN and give us the date of the payoff. If you ask us for a payoff letter and you don't give us a date, we generate it based on today's date. So if you need a specific date, please include that in the email you send. Just so you know, over these last 3 or 4 years, we started sending an annual program statement to every participant. That goes out in December of each year. And then you also need to be aware that Senate Bill 2244, it passed this session. It has not yet been signed to by the governor, to the best of my knowledge. But just so you know, it made a couple changes to the senior deferral program, and it's for tax years 2022 through 2025. So you don't have to, right now we're on tax year 2020 when it comes to senior deferral. So this isn't going to take effect for another year and a half, but it increased the maximum annual income level to 65,000. And it also increased the maximum amount that one could defer each year to 7,500. Once again, that's for 2022 through 2025. The Senate bill is listed there if you need more information about that. Now, before we move on to the topics that everyone wrote back about asking that we talk about, which are leveling the playing field and local government revenue replacement and ARPA, does anyone have any questions about senior deferral or information exchange agreements, rebate sharing, annexation, anything we've talked about up to this point? Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Well, in that case, we'll get to the topics that everyone is interested in. Topics of interest, like I said, leveling the playing field, LPF, Local Government Revenue Recapture Act, LGRRA, and the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, or ARPA. Leveling the playing field. The first kind of business for this, or the first type of sales, are sales made by Illinois in-state retailers, for example, brick and mortar. There's been no change made to these businesses. Illinois purchases that are shipped out of a distribution center within Illinois will be taxed at the tax rate of the distribution center's location, also known as the origin rate. This sale will generate MTCT for the local government of origin, as well as any locally imposed taxes. Sales that are made by remote retailers, which are retailers that have no physical presence in Illinois but meet the statutory tax remittance threshold established by Wayfair. These Illinois purchases that are shipped from outside Illinois will be taxed at the rate of the delivery address, also known as the destination rate. The sale will generate MTCT for the local government of destination, as well as any locally imposed taxes. So that's why it's important you get your annexations to us, even if it's just residential addresses. It's also why it's important you get all of your business district addresses updated, including residential addresses, because for these shipments that come from remote retailers, all, MTCT, home rule, non-home rule, business district, county school facility, all this stuff, it's all going to be imposed at the rate of destination. A third type is a sale made by an out-of-state seller, which is an out-of-state retailer with a physical presence in Illinois. If selling activities occur within Illinois, e.g. sales are filled from inventory in Illinois or other selling activities occur in Illinois, then the tax is calculated using the origin rate for that sale. This sale will generate MTCT for local government of origin, as well as any locally imposed taxes. If selling activities occur outside Illinois, then 6.25% use tax must be collected and remitted for that sale. This will be deposited into the state and local sales tax reform fund for distribution to local governments based on population. That means use tax is not necessarily going to go to zero now. There are still situations where use tax will be charged and collected. Changes you should see because of leveling the playing field. When you order your taxpayer listing or your allocation remittance report, you're going to see more non-local addresses on those reports. These businesses register as changing locations, and the non-local addresses you see on your reports are their corporate addresses. And that's why, if you pull up your report, we're in Springfield, so if Springfield pulls up their report and sees a Dallas, Texas address, that's why. It's a changing location, probably because of leveling the playing field. You'll also see those for different things like Avon and stuff like that. Also register as changing locations, and you could see non-local addresses for those as well. We expect you to see a decrease in use tax distributions, which we have not seen yet in the 4 months of distributions we've made since leveling the playing field took effect. Marketplace facilitators, including food delivery apps, should impose the tax at the destination rate. A good way to know if this is happening, if you order something off of the, check your receipt, calculate the tax rate on your receipt, see if that matches what your tax rate is. If it doesn't, contact us. Scan a copy of that receipt and send it to us, and we will get to work on that to try to get that fixed for you. Business district tax should also be imposed on destination rates. We've brought that up a couple times. The impact on sales tax receipts is unknown at this time because so much is determined by the shopping habits of your residents. Okay, we've got a question about Amazon deliveries, and that depends. It's going to depend on where that purchase you make from Amazon ships from. If I'm in Springfield and I order something off Amazon and it ships from the Edwardsville Amazon warehouse, then that sale will be taxed at the Edwardsville rate. Edwardsville will get that money, not Springfield. If I'm in Springfield and I order something from Amazon and it ships from outside the state, wherever, I don't know where all they have warehouses at, but let's say it ships from St. Louis instead of Edwardsville, that will now be taxed at the Springfield rate, and Springfield will receive that revenue, and Sangamon County instead of Edwardsville. So it all depends on where it ships from. We kind of described that a couple slides back where it kind of defines the different retailers. So I can't tell you for sure how Amazon will impact, or other, not just Amazon, anybody like Amazon, because it all depends on where it ships from. If it ships from in the state, then those warehouse locations are where the revenue will be received. We also want to let you know that up to this point, we've seen some inconsistencies with how these businesses are filing. A lot of companies are confused by this law, and we're not seeing a real consistent filing across different businesses. So the Department of Revenue has been very proactive with contacting these businesses. If you go to the Department of Revenue website, you can see that there is a leveling the playing field resource page, and you can see every informational bulletin, compliance alert, FAQ, everything that we've provided for these businesses is all at that leveling the playing field resource page. But the reason I tell you about these inconsistencies is that I know a lot of you are looking for information so you can make projections for the next fiscal year and things like that. And what I want to say is with these inconsistencies, I wouldn't use these figures yet when you're making those projections. Like I said, we're contacting a lot of businesses to let them know they're filing incorrectly, which means they're going to be filing amended returns, which could change the distribution amount you receive for those previous months. Another thing that you're seeing, some of you have contacted us to see why there was a hold on your allocation remittance report. If we see that a large retailer has not we feel they haven't filed correctly, we'll place a hold on their return so no money is distributed, rather than knowingly incorrectly distributing that revenue and then having to take that back from you at a later date. So if you see a hold on your allocation remittance report, that means a large retailer potentially filed incorrectly, and we're trying to get that straightened out with them before we allocate any money. Another thing with leveling the playing field, some of you are used to the local government tax rate finder that we have on our website. That means if you put in Springfield, it will give you the Springfield tax rate. We now also have an address specific tax rate finder. Just so you know, this file is only going to be updated twice per year because these retailers can't be expected to come download a new tax rate file every day. So it's only updated on January 1st and July 1st. And just like our ordinance deadlines, if you find an error in that address specific file where it's telling somebody that address is in the unincorporated part of the county instead of your municipality, you need to tell us by April 1st if we're going to make that update by July 1st, which, just so everybody knows, which obviously you didn't know about this, so that explains why. We didn't receive any contact of any incorrect information on that address file, so the July 1 update will only reflect any new taxes that are implemented for this period. But if you find other errors, but you need to let us know by October 1st so it's reflected on the January 1st update. Now, by statute, beginning in February 2022, we will have to provide a map of the current boundaries on file for your jurisdiction to every jurisdiction in the state, both municipalities and counties. The method and the format of this file has not been finalized yet, so I don't know how to tell you what that's going to be because we don't know yet. But until February 2022, you will have to check specific individual addresses using the address specific tax rate finder if you want to make sure they're being taxed correctly. We don't have any method to have you send us a bulk list and us check that. So unfortunately, you have to do this manually. You have to do it individual address by individual address. Now, I'm not saying you probably don't need to check every address in your jurisdiction, but if there's some boundary addresses that you may want to check, I would recommend doing that. But like I said, if you find out that anything is incorrect, you need to let us know by October 1st so we can have that updated for January 1st. And why that's important is because these Amazons, anybody that's going to be taxing at the destination rate, they plug your address into that address specific tax rate finder, or I should say they have a file that comes from that, a machine readable file. but it's going to tax at whatever rate that address spits out in the tax rate finder. So we need to make sure those are correct. That's going to become a lot easier in February 2022, but right now it's still important that those be correct. Another thing with leveling the playing field is that with reallocations, we will only be reallocating leveling the playing field monies based on amended returns, not due to copies of an invoice, for example. So if I'm in Springfield and I order something, if I live in unincorporated Sangamon County and I order something off of Amazon and it taxes me at the Springfield rate, and I bring my invoice to Sangamon County and I say, hey, just so you know, I live in Sangamon County, they're not taxing me at the Sangamon County rate. If you send in that invoice, we're not going to change their return based on one invoice. So if Amazon makes 100 shipments into Springfield in a given month, they're going to report that. They're going to compile all 100 transactions into one, and it's going to be reported as one Springfield transaction. So we're not going to take one invoice and subtract it out from that compiled entry to reallocate money. Now, if Amazon amends the return and takes out my invoice from Springfield and puts it in Sangamon County, we'll make that change. But the other thing that's important with that is it is in the rules of leveling the playing field that businesses are held harmless if a mistake was made because our tax rate file was wrong. And what this means is when they file that amended return, now obviously going from Springfield to Sangamon County, the tax rate would get lower. But if you're going from a lower rate to a higher rate, that business is not going to have to pay that additional tax penalty and interest from the higher rate because they're held harmless because our tax rate file was wrong. So you won't get the full tax amount from that sale. The other thing is if you have the only thing that can be reallocated, if it goes from Springfield to Sangamon County again, the 1% MT would get reallocated as 1% CT to Sangamon County. If there's any tax over the top of that that wasn't charged, once again, if it goes from a lower rate to a higher rate, we're not going to have money to reallocate because they're not going to be required to pay the difference because of that held harmless. Let me look back through some of this chat. So we received a question, if an order is placed and the product is in South Dakota and then sent to Aurora to go out on a truck to your home, would the ship from be South Dakota or Aurora? That really depends on how the business defines those activities and when they're reporting that the sale is taking place. If the shipment is to from a South Dakota warehouse to an Aurora pickup spot, I mean, it really just depends on how each business reports that sale on whether it would be considered South Dakota or Aurora. So Amazon, we also have a question, since Amazon has locations in the state, would they qualify as an out-of-state seller and be subject to use tax? Amazon is a marketplace facilitator, so they're going to pay at the destination rate. There could potentially be use tax on some of their sales, but it's going to depend on where that ships from. There's a lot of gray area on this, which explains why it's so confusing to businesses and explains why we have so much information out on our website. I don't have it all memorized, so I hope I'm not leading you astray with these answers, but please refer to the Leveling the Playing Field resource page on our website. Any more questions about leveling the playing field before we move on to the next topic? Okay. In that case, we're going to move on to Local Government Revenue Recapture Act, LGRRA. This allows a local government to contract with a third party to ensure that local governments receive the correct disbursement from IDOR. We've got another question that came in. Amazon will not deliver to our community. If we had an Amazon delivery box, would that be considered a local delivery? In that case, I would think it would be taxed at the destination rate of that delivery box. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty positive that that would be taxed at the address of the delivery box. So for LGRRA, the third party must enter into a confidentiality agreement with the local government in the form and manner required by IDOR. They must have an existing contract with the local government when entering into the confidentiality agreement. They must abide by the same conditions as local governments regarding confidential tax information, and they must register with IDOR. With respect to taxes administered by IDOR, local governments and third parties are prohibited from the following: engaging in the audit of any taxpayer, assessing tax against any taxpayer, engaging in collection actions against any taxpayer for the tax, or engaging in any other action related to these taxes that is IDOR's responsibility. And this really goes to just in general, not just local government revenue recapture. If you don't think a business is charging the right rate in your jurisdiction, send us a copy of the receipt if you have one, or send us the information on the business and we will take care of that. Local government officials should not be going into retail establishments and asking them what rate they're charging and confronting them about potentially charging an incorrect rate. Businesses should have their certificate from the Department of Revenue posted, which lists in the top right corner the jurisdiction that we've got them registered in. So you can look at that if it's by the register, but any other information you should send on to LTAD and we'll take it from there. And you're also not supposed to ask them about non-payment of their return. You're not supposed to ask them about non-filing, anything like that. Leave that to IDOR and LTAD. LGRRA also prohibits third parties from communicating directly with taxpayers within a local government about any matters related to or covered by the third party's contract, prohibits third parties from sharing financial information with another local government or third party, and a local government also may not share the findings of a third party with another local government or third party. To access confidential tax information, third parties must be added to each local government's information exchange agreement that they contract with. We've heard that there's a company that has a contract with hundreds of you at this point. They're trying to get everything finalized when they register with the state. They will have to register each of your local governments will have to add them to your reciprocal agreement if you want them to be able to see confidential tax information. And you need to add the individual employee or employees that will be working with your jurisdiction, not the business as a whole. You can't add Aaron Allen's company to your reciprocal agreement. If myself and Karen McConnell are the two people working on your account, then you'll need to add Aaron Allen and Karen McConnell, not Aaron Allen's third-party company. Just so you guys know, as I've got the example there, John Doe must be added, not third-party corp. And each time the person working on your account changes, the information exchange agreement must be updated. So if instead of me coming into the office, Kevin McTague comes into the office, you need to know Kevin's not on our agreement. Now we've got to add Kevin to the agreement if we're going to show him this information. Now, regarding sharing this confidential information with people that are listed on the agreement, you can either download, for instance, you can download the allocation remittance report yourself through your MyLocalTax account and then pass that along to them, or they can register for their own MyLocalTax account and order and view the information themselves. That is up to your jurisdiction whether you want them to have MyLocalTax access or not. Now, just so you know, if they do get MLT access, at this time, their access will be no different than any other confidential access. So they'll have access to tax location verification, rebate sharing agreement, submittal, everything else. They can do anything you can do. So if you don't want them to have that, then you'll need to share the reports with them yourself. They're going to need to have a separate account for each local government that they want to view. So if Aaron Allen third party company contracts with 300 of you, I'm going to have 300 separate MyLocalTax accounts if I want to have access for each of you. I'm not going to have one account that gives me all 300 reports in one place. And they'll have to register for these accounts the same way that you guys do. So if they happen to ask you instead of asking us, they follow the same steps you did to register for an account. Both third-party users and local government officials will be able to submit an audit referral via their MyLocalTax accounts. As we mentioned before, please contact us first so we can let you know if it's a situation that requires an audit referral or not. Now, one thing that's different, third-party users will also have a MyTax account, and they will have that submit audit referral function in their MyTax account as well. So they'll have two ways to submit that, whereas local government users only have their MyLocalTax account. Any questions about Local Government Revenue Recapture Act? Seeing none, we will move on to ARPA. I don't have a lot of information for you on ARPA, but Senate Bill 2800, House Amendment 1 granted IDOR appropriation authority to allocate the funds to non-entitlement units of local governments and counties as authorized by Section 9901 of the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 and any associated federal guidance. A portal is being developed for locals to use to provide information needed to help IDOR generate the vouchers. Additional details are not available at this time, but it does not appear that LTAD will be the ones making these distributions. However, if you have questions about it, contact us and we will either get an answer for you or direct you to the correct person. The information I have about these funds is included on this slide. I have no knowledge of anything outside of what's on this slide. So unfortunately, I can't give you anything else at this time. This is still in process. I understand that these funds are important to all of you. I'm not trying to minimize their importance, but I just don't have any additional information. I was hoping I'd have more by now, but unfortunately I do not. So we don't have any information outside of what's on this slide. Does anybody, even though I just said I don't know anything, do any of you have any questions about ARPA? Okay, seeing none. So that's really the other thing we wanted to do was kind of go through some of our local government resources. Our website, which we've referred to a couple times on here, you can find your allocation amounts there. You can find forms and agreements, which includes the recertification letter template, which includes the ordinance template. You can find information about each tax type, such as ordinance deadlines, what information needs to be sent to us, etc. You can find training materials. We've got last year's workshop recorded and posted. Not only do we have it on there, but we've got a breakdown of the timestamps of when we talk about each certain topic. So you don't have to go back and rewatch the whole workshop if you want to learn more about TLV. Excuse me. We're going to do the same thing with this workshop, although with all the technical difficulties I've had, it's not going to be a great video to watch. I apologize for that, but we'll once again go through with timestamps and the video will be there. The workshop we did in 2019 was all dedicated to MyLocalTax and going through step by step on how to do everything in MyLocalTax. That video is on the training page. We also have that broken down by here's how to request an allocation remittance report. Here's how each topic, once again, has a separate video broken out that you can watch. We can see the traffic on these things. Nobody looks at them. The first workshops I went to in 2018, all the local government officials said, will you please start putting more information on your website? We've done that. We've spent a lot of time and effort getting this stuff posted, and then now we see the traffic counts from it and nobody looks at any of it. So please we're putting it there for you. It's a resource for you to use to learn more about how to make sure you're getting the right distribution amounts, how to file ordinances, everything. It's there for as your resource. So please use it. Um, MyLocalTax. I know we're always hammering home that we'd like you to use MyLocalTax. You can send messages through there. You can request allocation remittance reports. We used to mail those out 3 times a year on CD. Now you can request it each month if you want, and you'll have the file um, in your account the next day. You can order a taxpayer listing. Like we said, if you're not sure if a business is registered to your account, to your jurisdiction, you can order a taxpayer listing and you'll see it. You can complete the TLV process. You can enter or amend your rebate sharing agreements. You can view any letter we've sent your local government. You can view the messages we send telling you you have 30 days to recertify your account. All those things you can use for MyLocalTax. And I said before, I admit that it's not perfect. We're working on things to make it better. We've gotten a lot of feedback from you, and for that I thank you. Some of you probably think we're ignoring you because you've been asking for the same stuff for 2 years. There's been a lot going on with new laws and everything, and it just hasn't been at the top of the department's priority list. But we're starting a project this fall to get it updated and get a lot of these upgrades that you've talked about in there. Hopefully, like I said, we'll have the new training information posted once it's there. Hopefully it's not too far off. Oh, we've got another. Yes, so we've got a question about allocation detail by business district. When you order an allocation remittance report, you will get a report if you have a business district, a home rule tax, a telecom tax, a municipal cannabis tax, MT. You'll get a file for every tax type you impose that will show you the breakdown by business of here's exactly how much you received in tax revenue from this business for each tax type. So if you impose 5 different taxes, you should receive 5 different spreadsheets when you request that allocation remittance report. Other resources, as I said earlier, we just came out with this LTAD quarterly newsletter. Our planned schedule for that is January, April, July, and October. We waited until May this year because we knew there were municipal elections in March, and we wanted to make sure that the newly elected officials were in when they got into office. July, we're not going to do one this year. Like I said, we're doing the workshop now. There's not going to be a lot of new information that comes up in the next 2 weeks, so there's probably not a need for a July newsletter. So October will be the next one. If you didn't see a newsletter, you need to talk to someone in your office or you need to refer to our website and find it on our website. Because like I said, we mailed one to each taxing jurisdiction in the state. If you have a MyLocalTax account, it was also sent through there. I already said we sent it in May this year. We're not going to send it again until October. We're not mailing any more out. The only way these are going to go out in the future is if you have a MyLocalTax account, you'll get it through there. And then you'll also receive a message if you sign up for our Gov't delivery messaging service. And that will just say, here's a link to the new newsletter. Gov't delivery, you can sign up on our website and you can choose to receive information about municipalities, about counties, and about PPRT. You can choose 1, 2, or all 3 of those. I wouldn't think you would need all 3, but you have that option. Also, any other taxes that you may be concerned with on an individual basis, those would be the 3 that you would be that would be important to local officials. But sign up on our website, and not only are we going to send you, messages when the new newsletter is out, but we also plan to use that for things like, hey, we've got the new local government workshop presentation posted. Please find that here. The PPRT estimate's been posted. Please find that here. We got the new census data. Here's when you'll see it in your distributions. So short messages that are important to you that don't need to wait until the next quarterly newsletter or don't need to wait until the next annual workshop. We're going to send, this isn't something we're going to flood you with. there will probably be fewer than 10 messages sent through that per year unless something, big happens. So this isn't something you're going to be flooded with. We first notified you of that in the workshop, or in the newsletter. We looked at the registration totals for it. Not that many of you have signed up. In the past, we've reached out to the local officials associations to say, hey, will you please let your membership know this? We're not going to do that anymore. We're going to send that through Gov't delivery. So I can't recommend strong enough for you to sign up for that. Like I said, we're not going to bombard you with messages, but it's going to be short notices that you that we feel are important to you. We just got asked how to sign up for that. If you go to the Department of Revenue homepage, it's going to pop up and it's going to say, would you like, I don't remember the exact verbiage it has on it, but it says like, would you like to sign up to be notified of important tax information? And they have this for multiple tax types. You can sign up for it for your individual income tax information, things like that. We also discuss it in the newsletter. It talks about how to sign up for that. So I can't recommend enough that you sign up for Gov't delivery. We want to also make sure you're seeing the quarterly newsletter, and we feel that everyone should use MyLocalTax. I know you're not all going to. I know you don't all like it, but please, when you get an email that says you have a message in MyLocalTax, please read it. I can't emphasize that enough. I think the only other thing we have now is contact information. If you've got questions about your specific payment, that you need to talk to the comptroller about that. We've got the gaming board on here. More contacts here regarding property tax and things like that. We also have on this last page, we've got our mailing address. If you mail something to us, please notice that 3-500 after 101 West Jefferson. Please include that. That's going to ensure that it gets to us quicker. You've got our email there. We've got our website there. We're responding to emails within minutes typically. We're still working remotely. So we've got voicemail set up now. The voicemail will come to us as an email attachment. So it may take us a little longer to respond to that. But like I said, with emails and voicemails, please give us the information we need to answer your question, and we'll have it looked up and we'll have the answer for you when we contact you back, instead of potentially playing phone tag or sending 5 emails back and forth before we get everything we need. So for those of you that are county treasurers, I will be speaking at the county treasurer meeting in Springfield next week. Any of the rest of you, if you have any association meetings and you would like LTAD to come speak at that, please let us know, and we'll do our best to be there. Try to give us what you would like us to talk about, and we would be happy to attend your event and be there to speak and or answer questions. Hopefully next year, I think we continue. I said this last year, but I think our plan is to continue to do one virtual workshop that we can do this way. We can record and post to our website, but we still would like to get out around the state each year, at least to a couple places, and host an in-person workshop. So if your municipality or your county are interested in hosting a workshop next year, please let us know, and we will do we'll see if we can get you on the calendar. We'll also, on our website, typically any speaking engagement we have, we will post information about that. So if you wanted to attend, you could. A lot of times we'll also post, if we have a separate PowerPoint or something. I know we've got a business district PowerPoint that was posted with step-by-step instructions about business districts, because before COVID last year, we were supposed to speak at a TIF conference about business districts. So we went ahead and posted that to the website. So if we have specific topics that we go speak about, we'll post that information to our website. Like I said, there's changes coming in MyLocalTax. We'll get a new tutorial put together, possibly a new video. We'll post those to our website. We want you guys to have all the information we can give you to help you do your job. So it's all on our website. I will send out a link to the video or the slides that from Trevor's video or sorry, not a link. I'll send out that PowerPoint. I will also, you'll get a message once the video has been posted to our website, and a link with that. So does anybody, we've kind of been through everything now. I know we covered a lot. We hope to, in the future, not, I don't think we'll necessarily cover all of this every year. We'd like to kind of take the MyLocalTax portion out of it and have it be its own thing. But we knew with elections, we needed to cover the basics, and we also knew that you guys were all interested in leveling the playing field and some of these other new laws that have taken effect in the last year. So does anyone have any questions? Once again, I apologize for all the technical difficulties I had throughout this. Like I said, everything worked yesterday, and it did not work today. So I apologize for that, and we'll get everything posted for you guys as soon as we can. I don't see any other questions. So that being said, thank you all for attending. Thank you for your questions, and please feel free to share this information with other people in your office that it pertains to. Thank you very much.